the Trump team is livid over what went down with the Supreme Court of the United States of America on Friday. Taking a look at this right here. Look at this. On Friday, we got word of the urgent order protecting Venezuelan migrants that are part of a known TDS gang. They were going to be shipped back to Venezuela, but nope. Apparently, the Supreme Court intervened and said you can't do it, even though they had already said you're totally fine to be able to use this Aliens Enemy Act of 1798. Well, Stephen Miller's not one bit happy about this. This is the guy who's the policy chief there, domestic policy chief at the White House. And you know he's always good for some fireworks. I want to show you his clip on Newsmax. Just, was this morning or yesterday? Here we go.
You have, in this case, illegal aliens from Venezuela sent here by Maduro, who are members of a foreign terrorist organization, Tren de Aragua, an organization that the intelligence community has found is operating at the direction of a hostile, adversarial foreign regime carrying out criminal enterprises to destabilize the political system in the United States. Those are the facts when it comes to TDA. So they're all illegal, they're all gang members, they're all foreign terrorists. And now we are being told that they cannot be expelled from our country without an extraordinary amount of individualized adjudication at the district court, circuit court, Supreme Court, up and down, up and down, up and down. No American citizen receives this level of so-called due process. Because it isn't due process. This is called infinity process to keep you here forever. Yeah. That's what this is.
Oh no, it's crazy.
No American citizen charged with a crime, with a serious crime inside the United States, a U.S.-born American citizen receives this kind of process. Millions of dollars in free legal services, representation at every single level. I mean, do you think that there is any, for example, any American citizen who was persecuted, who was innocent related to January 6th? Do you think they could just get this kind of relief, this kind of process? No. It was never available to them. Yeah. The whole system was rigged against them, just like it's rigged in favor of illegal alien invaders.
You know, he's not wrong on this. Think about what happened with the J6. I mean, you had like grandmothers, right, waiting for their chance at some kind of fairness. And yet Venezuelan migrants are not going to be deported because the view is, well, you know, they need this due process. I'm sorry, but you kind of had me on Venezuelan migrants. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. It's not fair to accuse somebody of a crime, right? Everybody deserves the same due process. I think Miller's making a good point that we're not even guaranteeing Americans that same kind of due process. But when you're here illegally from another country and you are believed to be a member of a gang, you probably should be sent out because you probably could be deported just on the fact that you are here illegally. Dare I say this? Here's Mike Davis. He's one of the former attorneys for the president, and he spoke with Steve Bannon this morning. He's just furious about this. He thinks the Supreme Court really, really messed up. It's just a temporary order, of course, but he doesn't like the sound of it. I want to play it for you. It's a little technical, so bear with me.
This is a very disappointing ruling by the Supreme Court. Now, remember, it's just a temporary order saying that the government can't ship out these Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorists until the court further rules. But I don't know how the court even thinks it had jurisdiction to do what it did late on Friday night, on Good Friday. You had these ACLU plaintiffs who essentially put a self-imposed deadline on the district court in Texas, giving the district court 45 minutes on Friday to rule. And then the ACLU moved forward with an appeal to the Fifth Circuit, which divests the district court of jurisdiction. And then the Fifth Circuit has indicated it was getting ready to rule on this matter. And then the Supreme Court used the emergency docket impermissibly. They didn't have jurisdiction to issue this stay under the All Writs Act. I mean, Justice Alito's opinion is spot on, that the opinion that Justice Thomas joined, to me, it is a total head scratcher that the three Trump justices who made many assurances to the Trump administration that they're going to be constitutionalist and originalist and they're going to follow the law. I don't think they did that on Good Friday. I don't think they did that when they failed to join this opinion. So you have to ask why. Why was there such lawlessness and cowardice by the Supreme Court? And this is a very important question, because this goes to the heart of the Supreme Court's legitimacy. President Trump campaigned on the fact that he is going to secure our border and he's going to deport illegal immigrants. They are all criminals, right? He's going to especially focus on Tren de Aragua, foreign terrorists, and MS-13 gangbangers. And President Trump is doing exactly what he promised American voters he can do, and he's following the law. It's these lawless judges on the district courts and now the lawless judges on the Supreme Court who are just making up the law as they're going. They're essentially becoming judicial activists, telling the president that he has to halt planes. How long are they going to hobble the president in his ability to get these foreign terrorists the hell out of our country? What process is due? And why are we so concerned about Tren de Aragua terrorists? Why can't they file habeas petitions? So here's the bottom line. This is what President Trump needs to do. He needs to round up all these illegal immigrants. He needs to detain them in Texas or Guantanamo or wherever he wants to detain them. And then they can sit in that holding pen until the Supreme Court figures out what due process is due to these people.
Now, I'm sure there are some people that are going to say that is just awful and that is terrible and that is mean and you should not actually ever do anything quite like that. But what Mike Davis is talking about is enforcing the border, right? Really simply just enforcing the border, because whether somebody is part of Tren de Aragua or whether somebody is MS-13 or whether somebody is just believed to be in here illegally, you're running certain risks. I would say on the plus side, we've just learned that ICE has arrested an alien who was wanted on terror charges out of India. Let me play this for you because this is important. I mean, this is kind of, what we're trying to do here, even though everybody keeps on forgetting about what the motive and goal. I realize feelings are in the way.
So ICE arresting an illegal alien wanted in India for terrorism-related charges. He was released into the U.S. under President Biden. His name is Harpreet Singh, one of India's most wanted fugitives. He was caught illegally crossing the border 3 years ago in Arizona, allowed to enter the interior of the country. He's wanted in connection with a series of deadly terror attacks in India. ICE agents took him into custody about a week ago in Sacramento, California.
So that's kind of a big deal, right? So this is an alleged terror suspect. ICE is finally this is what this is about, even though people keep seemingly forgetting that we want to make sure that we're securing our country and we are securing our border. So when the Supreme Court comes and says, you know what, you can't use this, that, and the other, the laws that theoretically should be on the books to be able to help us, you can understand this becomes increasingly a problem. Where it goes from here, I don't necessarily know. I'm going to tell you guys that because I'm looking at the 1798 thing and I'm like, well, you said that was okay, that stood. And that actually gave Donald Trump a reason to be deporting those people to El Salvador. And now you're standing in the way in this emergency hour to protect this group of Venezuelans that are here illegally. And I think it leaves people with a lot of questions, not to mention sort of whose side are you on, right? Whose side are you on? Think about that for a minute.
You have, in this case, illegal aliens from Venezuela sent here by Maduro who are members of a foreign terrorist organization, Tren de Aragua, an organization that the intelligence community has found is operating at the direction of a hostile adversarial foreign regime carrying out.
So again, I don't really, if you're assuming that you've got that flexibility via the Alien Act of 1798, then why wouldn't you be able to remove people you are deeming a threat? I think it's and it'll get resolved. As we said, the Supreme Court was temporary, and incidentally, that was two. You had Thomas, for example, and I believe it was Alito, siding with the president and the administration on this one. In the meantime, you get Senator Van Hollen, who's out there and somehow, after running down to El Salvador to have his coffee and water, although Bukele kept saying it was margaritas and posted a terrific doctored picture. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. Literally, when I saw the salt on the rings of the glass, I said to one of our team members, I'm like, I think he had a little fun with those. Anyway, Chris Van Hollen has seemingly totally forgotten that this guy that you see in the picture is actually Garcia from El Salvador, because I played this for you yesterday. I want to show you again. Look at what he says when he's talking about him in passing to little Georgie on This Week. Stephanopoulos, the guy who wouldn't resign when his network had to pay $16 million to Donald Trump. He really ought to if he's that upset. Anyway, I digress. Here is Chris Van Hollen with Georgie.
I think at some point, the president of El Salvador realized it was looking really bad to have this person who had been absconded from America, from the streets of Maryland, in one of their prisons.
You heard it, right? I heard it. This person from Maryland. Okay. Make up your mind. I mean, he's got a terrible rap sheet. The president has talked about this,
He's a fake. I know him. I know them all. They're all fake. And they have no interest.
Actually, in that particular case, he was just talking about Chris Van Hollen. Chris Van Hollen is the fake.
He's a fake. I know him. I know them all. They're all fake. And they have no interest in that prisoner. That prisoner's record is unbelievably bad. They talk about how evil I am, that this man would be thrown out of our country. This man is according to certified statements that we get, is a very violent person. And they want this man to be brought back into our country where he can be free and to stay as a happily Maryland, they call him the Maryland man. He's a Maryland father. No, this is a violent person.
So that's Trump saying he's a violent person, according to the DOJ. The DOJ did come out and say, look, the wife had requested protection because she was concerned for her safety. Pam Bondi has said, look, the country's safer, and most importantly, the wife and the child are safer because Garcia is in El Salvador. Garcia's wife was asked about this, and I couldn't believe this. I'm going to show you again because ABC, it's like nobody has any ethics there. I go back to the CBS News thing. Like, I don't like them, but at least the guy had the decency to resign and quit and say, I'm out of here, right? Go back to ABC where they're afraid to ask any kind of real question. In this case, you get the GMA anchor, who's a former athlete, I guess, asking the wife, Garcia's wife, hey, they're saying that you filed for protection because you were concerned. You needed police to help you against this potential violence for your husband. And can you talk about that? Silence, crickets. She just totally stonewalled and wouldn't even talk about it or address it.
I have to ask it. You did take out a temporary order of protection against your husband in 2021. Were you in fear of your husband?
Hello?
My husband is alive. That's all I can say.
That's it.
Okay. And I'm not going to push on that, apparently.
No.
But how much hope?
Not going to push on that because I'm not any kind of journalist. This is ABC Disney News, right? Oh my gosh. Quick shout out for our wonderful sponsor of this program, Balance of Nature, balanceofnature.com. Go check that out, guys. If you want to take your vitamins every day like I take mine, which I'm so thankful they send me these because I actually do take them. And my vitamin D level, thank you very much, is now in good territory. I can't say it always has been. It's an important vitamin. I mean, you get everything actually with the fruits and veggies, which is what I take. You get everything in there. But in my particular case, it was really critical that I upped the vitamin D level because I live in the Northeast. Even in the summer, I'm actually not outside enough. I hope to do more of that this summer, but I need to get that vitamin D somehow, some way. And thanks to these guys, I'm getting it. I encourage you to go to balanceofnature.com. You get 35% off if you use code word Trish. You're helping the show, you're helping yourself, you're helping everyone. Win, win, win. And you get not only the 35% off, you get the free shipping and you get your money back guarantee. So definitely go check out balanceofnature.com today. They've got thousands of testimonials. They make so many of these, and so many people all over the world actually have benefited from it, and they have told Balance of Nature they've benefited from it. So you can read not just my story, but everybody else's. Go to balanceofnature.com and use my code word Trish, Trish. You know how to spell it.